So, great story. Rabbi Minkowitz came to Farbrengen with the younger light over here and some Bachrim, Yeshiva Bachrim in Los Angeles when he was on a visit. He's a great guy, sweetest of the sweet, good heart, you know. He said that the Baal Shem Tov was the first mystic. You know, so anybody that's educated would hear that, and kind of like the Alter Rebbe would say, Kol HaShemea Yitzchak Loi, because even according to the Baal Shem, he wasn't the first. He wasn't the first Baal Shem Tov, let alone mystic, which means was he Jewish or not, what type of mystic, you know? Did he have hands-on magic like most of them with the swinging chickens, spritching blood? Oh, check this guy out. So, anyway, there was a real nice Litvisher boy at sitting there, and he didn't want to go have any shaykhs to Chassidus and as a heritage. Nothing to do with Chabad. His father was a Chassidish, but a Talmud of Rabban Kotler. And he went to Litvisher schools, so he doesn't go with the Streimer like his father. Anyway, that detail is just to get the color of it, but it's not important. And he told me, I have no shaykhs to Chabad. I don't want to. We talk, so I bring up Chabad, I bring up the Rebbe. It's part of the human story. It's part of Judaism in America. It's not the whole full story. And I'm not selective. I tell a whole story, but that's part of it. You know, logically, academically, rationally, you're looking at things as is, and you appreciate it that way. So, while he's telling me about how he's like, I just have my Judaism, the traditional stuff, and I have no need for any Chabad input. I don't need to hear the Lubavicher Rebbe's pshat on something. You know, I have Rashi, and that's it. And I have the Mefarshim, and I have everyone else that I'm interested in. So I said, look, it's whatever I'm telling you, I think it's important. It's important to the story. And of course, you have to understand, as much as he's hanging around with someone like me, and I expect him to have a drop of open mind, right? At least to start, the basics, the foundations of what it means to have an open mind. However, he didn't understand that. He wasn't there yet. So I said, he gets a phone call. You know, Hashgacha Pratis, kind of like, good example. He gets a phone call, and the phone call is a Lubavicher guy who he does business with in Los Angeles. And I say to him, you have Lubavicher people who you work with. This is part of your life. This is not like you were in some island and you didn't want to take interest to a local story. What do you mean you don't want to know? Of course you want to know. This is what morning traffic looks like if you have a good route. So I showed him, you're in contact with people, you need to know their story, you know? And the more the better. And especially if it's part of Judaism, are you out of your mind? But anyway, he comes, so back to the Farbrengen story, he comes to sit by the Farbrengen because we met, and I said I would love to go see this. This is, Rabbi Minkowitz from Montreal, and it's rare, and I'm not addicted, and I'm not like, I don't need my daily fix. It's not a sickness. I'm interested, and I think it would be nice. And if it's not, we leave. Relax. We'll have a drink. We go in and we'll get the drink from somewhere. Sit down if you don't like what they have, and sit and just take it in and whatever. And then Rabbi Minkowitz is talking to a bunch of young people, but it doesn't really make a difference when it comes to these childish stories and fantastic stories and stories that leave people confused because they make no sense. They're not part of a natural order, so they don't give you any real input. When it comes to speaking to believers, it really doesn't matter if they're 18 or they're 28 or 38, and even 48. But let's get the point here. So But these were 18-year-olds. So you know, and again, so this Litvak boy, he identifies as a Litvish way of thinking, authentic. So the Rabbi Minkowitz tells the boys that when people came to the Rebbe for brachas, natural, in the natural nature, to change laws of nature, they're not asking him for the future supernatural brachas about Mashiach. You have a real problem, a health issue, you know, something that science is working on and has worked on, and only with work will we come to a solution, right? So we need a guy that could press a magic button, or maybe the Rebbe has in his office some magic instruments, like maybe he soaks the adassim in the olive oil that he lit by the oil, and then he waits 6 months, and then you put it on the choyle, or maybe he doesn't do anything, and you're supposed to believe it, you know, if you want to. But Rabbi Minkowitz says to the Bachrim, this is the key point, this is the great part. He says, and the Rebbe would always say, it's not me, I don't do the miracles, it's Hashem. And the Litvak boy, in a great sense of humor, very witty and very fast, very smooth, and with a few words, drove a real good point home. And remember, we're not always lucky to have the right guy at the right place at the right time. And he looked and he said, wow, my grandfather used to also say that when he would also tell people it's not him, and people would be like, wow, what is he, some grandson of a mystic, of some magician, some quack, what a Rebbe, a holy guy, what's the... And he said, no, my grandfather was standing by Niagara Falls and people are looking at him and looking at the falls, and he says, I didn't do it, nature did it. You want to call it God, call it God. He's standing by a beautiful sunset, I didn't do it. You want to say God did it, God, nature, whatever you want. The Bachrim got the hint, meaning that they didn't need to be have a good background in claimants to magical powers, and those people who send subtle messages to gullible people, and they do it very cleverly, and the evidence is on the street. They didn't need to read about the Sinti Sai Baba in India, and how he would claim that he has the powers to manifest gold and change the laws of nature, but he won't want to do it because he doesn't want to affect the karma. If you believe in a self-correcting force in the universe, so he doesn't want to affect the flow of karma, so he won't do the magic. That's, the prepared answer of why he doesn't there's always emergencies, there's people that need help. We live in a very we're humans, we're weak, right? So we'd love to have a guy that can do that. We'd love to have this story true. I'm going to meet now a younger man, and he would say to me, I wish this shit was true. The Rebbe with all the avtachas and all the mind stuff. So the beautiful thing, what the Litvak said was, like, my grandfather also said it, and the Bachram Chap. When you set up a whole system of giving out magical dollars, and it's for tzedakah, and it's not an amulet, you're not giving out, sgulis and the kameis, but that's what it is. That's what these things were. They were kameis. The only difference is that it's much easier to have a stack of them, because the Rebbe wanted a lot of chassidim. The Alter Rebbe wanted few chassidim. They say the Alter Rebbe was about midas emes liYaakov, and if he wouldn't be such an honest, this highly sensitive about honesty and integrity and morality, the Alter Rebbe could have had thousands of more chassidim. He just had to play along with the people, but he wouldn't want to do that. He did write the Tanya based on a lot of things that he could not have known, like about Gehenim, and he said that if the sun shines and the shadow moves an inch, it moves miles up in the sky, millions of miles up in the sky. So basically, if you suffer a little bit in this world, God will discount a lot of your suffering in the next. How did he decide that? He just wanted to ease people's tensions, but people's anxiety and fear. But in Inyan Gedet, the Alter Rebbe did not want to be known as a magician, and he didn't set up a whole game where people would come, and then he would tell them, oh, the miracles, every once in a while he would remind them, no, it's not me. Really? What are the odds that you would say it? So anyway, but Mitzvah Shem Groner is going to be giving a Farbrengen soon for Yutas Kislev, and he's going to be Megala some of the secret Rishimis Pirsim Rishons about how the Rebbe would actually heal the sick and control the weather, and Miami hurricane and all these amazing things. And also, the most important thing, how he would talk to God and his dead father-in-law. Someone after the Petita to be able to talk and to close the room and light the candles. Groner is going to give us the whole method, because the Rebbe wants us to finish the shlichus. So we're a bunch of puny little humans. Why would we have the chutzpah to ask what the Rebbe was doing? But it's not us. It's because we're shluchim of the Rebbe that we need to know how the Rebbe would do all these concoctions and exactly how much flour and how much dough and how much to bake it to make magic.